Hello, and welcome to our lesson on word problems using the Z-chart. Earlier, we learned how to read the Z-chart and what to do if you see less, more, or between. But most of the time, you're not going to be given a Z-score. You're going to have to figure it out yourself. And here's how you do it. It's value, subtract mean, divide standard deviation. And the good news is, I'm required to give you the mean and standard deviation. Excuse me. Let's take a look. A stats class took a test. The mean score is 82, and the standard deviation is 13. So I gave you the mean and I gave you the standard deviation. Part A says find the probability that a student scored less than 60. So what we're going to do is we're going to do value minus mean divide standard deviation. Let's take a look. So the value is 60 minus the mean, which is 82, and the standard deviation is 13. So if we put that into our calculator, it's going to equal to negative 1.69. And if you look that up on the chart, that means the probability is 0.0455. Just like that. All right, part B. Find the probability that a student scored more than 90. So this time the value is 90. So we will do 90 minus 82 divided by 13. So if we put that in the calculator, our z-score is going to equal to 0.62. Then if you look up 0.62 on our chart, we get 0.7324. But remember, the key word is more. And more means subtract from 1. So we're going to do 1 minus 0.7324. And that's going to equal to 0.2676. Just like that. Part C. Find the probability that a student scored between 75 and 85. This means we're going to do this twice. So 75 can go first. So 75 minus 82 divided by 13. Divided by 13. All right, well, if we were to put that into the calculator, we're going to get a z-score of negative 0.54. And if you look up negative 0.54 on the chart, our probability is 0.2946. Great, we'll come back to that later. Now we're going to do the same thing for 85. So that means we're going to do 85 minus 82 divided by 13. All right, so if you put that in the calculator, we're going to get a z-score of 0.23. And if you look up 0.23 on the chart, the probability is 0.5910. All right, excellent work so far. But remember, the key word is between. And the word between means subtract. Let's see, this down here is good. All right, so it says between, so that means we're going to do 0.5910 subtract 0.2946. And with that, our probability is 0.2964. And that's how you do this. Let's do another example together. The mean height of an NBA player is 78, and the standard deviation is 4. So notice, I gave you the mean, and I gave you the standard. So now we can find anything we want. All right, let's find the probability that a player is less than 84 inches. All right. So we will do 84 minus 78 divided by 4. Okay. If you put that into the calculator, our z-score is going to equal to 1.50. And if you were to look that up on the chart, 1.50 corresponds to a probability of 0.9332. Just like that. Part B, find the probability that a player is more than 81. Well, let's do the same thing. So we're going to do 81 minus 70. Does that all the time. Okay, here we go. We're back. Okay, so we're going to do 81 minus 78 divided by 4. We will put that in the calculator. And if you put it in the calculator, it's going to equal to 0.75. Looking up 0.75 on a chart, the probability is 0.7734. But don't forget, the key word is more. And more means we have to subtract 1. So we're going to do 1 minus 0.7734. And that's equal to 0.2266. That's how you do it. Part C, find the probability that a player is between 71 and 83. That means we have to do this twice. So we'll do the 73 first. No, the 71 first. Sorry, 71. Let's do the 71 first. All right. If it'll let me. All right, the 71. So we're going to do 71, subtract 82, and divide that by 4. No, not minus 82. What am I doing? That was the last one. Subtract 78, divide by 4. I knew it didn't seem right. Anyway, okay. And if you put that in the calculator, the z-score is going to equal to negative 1.75. And if you look up negative 1.75 on the chart, the probability is 0.0401. Okay, good so far. Now we're going to do the same thing for 83. So we'll do 83 minus 78, and then divide by 4. All right. So if we put that in the calculator, the z-score is going to equal to 1.25. And if you look up 1.25 on our chart, the probability is 0.8944. All right, looks good. But remember, the key word is between. And between means we have to subtract big answer minus little answer. So between means does that. It's like an autosave. That's why it keeps doing that. And it does it without warning. 0.8944 minus 0.0401. That's going to equal to 0.8543. And that's our final answer. All right. Okay, so more of the same, or is it? Stats class took a test. The mean score is 82. Standard deviation was, I meant to write 13, so yeah. Standard deviation is 13. Okay, there we go. Now we're on the same page. Find the probability that a sample of 20 students scored less than 60. It sounds almost the same, except this time I gave a sample size. So here's how to do z-scores when they give you a sample size. Notice it starts off the same. it still does value minus mean divide standard deviation. But after you do that part, the next step is to multiply by the square root of the sample size. So let's try it out. Okay, so what we have here is a stats class took a test, mean 82, standard is 13. Find the probability that a sample of 20 scored less than 80. So we're still going to do value minus mean. So the value is 80, the mean is 82. We're still going to divide by the standard deviation, which is 13. And then what we're going to do is we're going to times the square root of 20, the sample size. So 80 minus 82 divided by 13, and then times the square root of 20, just like that. Let's see what that is. If you put that in the calculator, you are going to get a z-score of negative 0.69. And if you look up negative 0.69 on our chart, the probability is 0.2451. And that's our answer. All right, part B. Find the probability that a sample of 20 scored more than 85. Well, let's do the same thing. So let's see. Our value is 85. The mean is 82. We're still going to divide by the standard deviation, which is 13. And then we're going to multiply by the square root of 20. So 85 minus 82, divide 13, multiply square root of 20. Let's see what the calculator says. For that, the z-score is 1.03. And if you look that up on our z-chart, our probability is 0.8485. But wait a minute, we're not done yet. Remember, the key word is more. And more means subtract from 1. So we're going to do 1 minus 0.8485. That's equal to 0.1515. Just like that. Part C, find the probability that a sample of 20 students scored between 78 and 87. Okay, we're going to have to do this twice. So 78 can go first. So for the 78, we're going to do 78 minus 82 divided by 13 and times the square root of 20. So 78 subtract 82, divide 13 times square root of 20. Let's see what happens. That is going to equal to, put in the calculator, a z-score of negative 1.38. And if you look up negative 1.38 on the chart, that means the probability is 0.0838. All right, good. We'll come back to that. Now let's do this again for 87. So we're going to do 87 minus 82 divided by 13 and times the square root of 20. So 87 minus 82, divide 13 times square root of 20. Let's put that in the calculator and see what we get. If you put it in the calculator, the z-score is going to equal to 1.72. And if you look up 1.72, the probability is 0.9573. All right, but don't forget the key word is between. And between means we're going to have to subtract big answer minus little answer. See if I can squeeze it in here. So for between, we're going to have to do 0.9573 subtract 0.0838. That's equal to 0.8735. That's our answer. All right, very good. Let's do one more. Mean cost of a flight's 800, standard is 75. Find the probability that a sample of 8 costs less than 750. All right, let's do the same thing. So we are going to do 750 minus 800 divided by 75 and then times the square root of 8. So let's see. 750 minus 800 times square root of 8. If you put that in the calculator, that's going to equal to negative 1.89. And if you look up negative 1.89 on the chart, your probability is 0.0294. All right, so that's done. All right, next question. Let's find the probability that 8 flights cost more than 730. Okay, so we'll do 730 minus 800 divided by 75 and times the square root of 8. Let's see what happens. So 730 minus 800 divides 75 times square root of 8. If you put that in the calculator, the z-score is going to equal to negative 2.64. And if you look up negative 2.64 on the chart, the probability is 0.0041. But don't forget, in this example, the key word is more. And more means subtract from 1. So 1 minus 0.0041, which is equal to 0.9959. So that's it for that. Part C, find the probability that a sample of 8 costs between $780 and $880. So, because it's between, we're going to have to do this twice. We will do the 780 first. So that's going to be 780 minus 800 divided by 75 and times the square root of 8. Let's see what happens. So we're going to divide and then multiply by the square root of 8. So if you put that in the calculator, the z-score is going to equal to negative 0.75. And if you were to look up negative 0.75 on the chart, the probability is 0.2266. All right, we will come back to that later. All right, now we're going to do this again for 880. So 880 minus 800 divided 75 times the square root of 8. Let's see what happens here. We're going to divide, then multiply square root 8. If you were to put that in the calculator, the z-score will equal to 3.02. And if you look that up on the chart, the probability is 0.9987. Now the key word is between, and between means subtract big answer minus little answer. So with that said, we are going to do 0.9987 subtract 0.2266. And that's equal to 0.7721. Just like that. So, as of right now, you should be able to answer every question in homework 5.2, 5.4. And this is the type of questions that you will see on test 2. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Thank you.